My previous eyeshadow declutters have typically been me just showing you the ones I've decided to get rid of, but this time I really want to be more critical, and I'm ready to let go of a lot more than I typically am because I have not worn eyeshadow in like 6 months. My skin has been kind of iffy. It got very eczema-like. I think it was eczema. So it made me stay away from eyeshadows because I was afraid it would just make my eyes dry again once they got back to a normal point. So I haven't been wearing a ton, and if I have, I've been wearing it a little bit as eyeliner and maybe a little light one on the inner corner, but I've been avoiding my lids and my crease a lot because that requires eyeshadow primer, and that whole process, taking it off, can irritate my eyes more. So I do want to try to get back into eyeshadow wearing this next year. I just need to ease into it and not overwhelm my eyes. But so that is one of the reasons why I'm ready to let go of a lot, but also because it's been so long since I've worn eyeshadow. When I opened my palettes, some of the things I was genuinely surprised to see. I was like, I still have that? I don't remember. I thought I got rid of it. I forgot this one existed. So those definitely made me realize, okay, I can let go of a few of these. Before I get into the bulk of the singles, I want to go over the palettes, or at the very least, this one right here. This is the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge palette, and my boyfriend got this for me after we went to Whistler in British Columbia, and it was our first really big vacation. It's the first time I've ever been out of the country, so this is definitely sentimental. I'll keep it even after it's well beyond its expiry date, just for displaying, maybe like on a bookshelf, or even just keeping it in a keepsake box. But this is very special to me, and we're actually going back to Whistler, but this time to actually ski. The first time was in the summer, so this is a definite keep, and that will give me some space to work with now. I think I want to get a really obvious declutter out of the way. This shattered. I don't even know how long ago. It would be embarrassing to even go back and figure out how long it's been like this. It shattered. I put it in a baggie to repress. I never got around to repressing it, and it has just been like this for at least half a year. So I think that's a good enough sign that I don't need this. It's a pale summery golden yellow, very pretty. I don't wear a ton of yellows, it just doesn't look that great on me, so I don't need to keep this. I also forgot I had this. I just found it when I was cleaning out things, and I'm like, oh, this thing, yeah. Oops. Another easy thing to talk about is this Essence Soft Touch eyeshadow. It's just something I would use to start a more dramatic look, to clean things up, just as a base to, you know, set eyeshadow primer with. I've used one of these up before. I haven't used it a ton because I haven't worn a ton of eyeshadow since I started using it, but it's nice to have one of these in my collection, and so I'm going to keep it. The only other eyeshadow palette in here is one that I got in the past year as a freebie. I think it was like the free birthday gift or something. I purchased some backups during my birthday month from e.l.f., and I got this for free, which I was like, oh, that's good for travel. I'm traveling a ton, and I did use it a bit while I was traveling with pet sitting. This was just the one I brought. The reason I'm getting rid of it is just because I don't love the shimmer shade. This color I just never use. It's not a color I like. This is not my favorite champagne-y kind of shimmer. I'd rather use, honestly, any of these here. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I just don't love it that much. This is a little bit darker than my skin tone and much peachier, so it doesn't do much in terms of brightening that this would do in kind of creating a blank canvas. This almost makes it darker, but it's way too light to be a crease shade, so it's just kind of an awkward in-between shade for me. And that's just because I'm really pale. For most people, that would be perfectly fine to brighten things up. This was my most used shade down here. It's just a beautiful warm brown. However, I already have a few browns. I have this one, which is a little bit more neutral, which I honestly prefer. And then I also have a more reddish tone and a more purpley tone here. I like these tones. They bring out the green in my eyes. So I just don't need a kind of basic warm brown. I also have a kind of really deep cool tone aubergine brown. So yeah, it's just not something I need, and I think I could give it to someone else and they would use it more. Last items that aren't just floating around in pans are my cream and my liquid eyeshadows. This first one is actually quite new. This e.l.f. No Budge Shadow Stick in Perfect Pearl. I'm honestly kind of disappointed by. I haven't used it a ton because when I used it, I haven't really enjoyed it. It's just very lackluster on the eyes. It's pretty there, but the thing is, I don't want to just have a line around my eyes, right? If I want to highlight my inner corner, I want to blend it out a bit. And as soon as I blended it out, one or too many swipes, and then all of a sudden, it's just pointless. I found that it's really difficult to look nice and have a nice texture in my eyes without just disappearing and being pointless. So I'm putting it in my project pan to try to use it up in some way on my face, on my eyes, whatever. Just because it's a really basic kind of shade, I think I can. I don't love it though. I might declutter it within the year if I really can't make it work, but I'm gonna try to make it work first. The other non-powder eyeshadows I have here were a gift from my sister-in-law this past Christmas, and they're really, really beautiful duochrome liquid eyeshadows. I've never heard of the brand Laying Money, but that's what they're from. I used these a bit when I first got them. The problem is, ever since my eyes got dry, these are, they dry down, just dry. So they don't really budge. They might flake off a bit if you wear them for too long or put them on too thick. I want to keep them for at least another year just to use them a bit more. At least this one was a really pretty green to pink shade. I thought I liked that color. It complemented my eyes. And then this one was a nice kind of bluey green to gold shade. But they're just fun things to use kind of like as eyeliners for me. This one, however, I found that it's more sheer. It's not as opaque as these, and it was more tricky to apply. I just never liked it. Also, the color doesn't complement my eye color as well. It just doesn't bring them out as much. So I think I'll just let this one go. For the purposes of simplicity, I'm gonna try to fit everything I'm keeping in this double-sided magnetic palette and everything I'm getting rid of in this magnetic palette, but I might run out of room for the keeps. I do have a few smaller ones I can stick them in, but we will see how this goes. I have a pretty good idea of what I'm getting rid of. One thing that has been on my mental chopping block forever, honestly, these two right here. These are just really bright and really warm. It's beautiful. It's from the BH Cosmetics Lost in Los Angeles palette. This one is as well. Beautiful formulas. It's just the colors. They're really, really vibrant, really warm, and I like muted and cool for the most part. So they're just not something I ever reach for. In a similar vein, this yellow right here, I can't even think of an eye look where I would use a yellow. It's a nice yellow. It's a beautiful matte formula. It's from the BH Cosmetics Avocado Toast palette. Why would I even keep it? I don't have a desire to use it. Another one that has been on my mental chopping block that I just haven't reached for at all is this NYX. It's from the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. It's a very pretty brown to kind of like goldy green duochrome. I just don't wear a ton of warm tone shades, and when I do, I reach for other ones. So I think I can get this one out. Similarly, this one, I'm not gonna swatch it because it is very kind of chunky, glittery shimmer. It is absolutely stunning. I just don't have the patience to work with it and take it off. And it's not one of those like really chunky, like this is glitter, is it ice safe kind of thing, but it's on the glittery side for a metallic formula for sure. And it can leave fallout, and I don't feel like dealing with that. So I have a similar shade right here from that Avocado Toast palette. It's a little bit more green, but it has a beautiful shift where it's a brown or like a darker base and a green shift. And I'd rather do that. And because I'm keeping this, I can get rid of this one as well. This is from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. It's just a little bit more of a spring green. It's more vibrant. And I never, ever wear a green like that. So this does not need to stay. This one is honestly my favorite shimmery green, and it's barely a green. It is this pale greeny gold. Another green I never wear is that really springy cool tone green matte. I think this is also from that avocado toast palette. Very good formula, a pretty green, not something I use. Let's go through a few greens that I know I definitely want to keep. This one right here, also from the avocado toast from BH Cosmetics. One that I love for spring is this really pale shimmery green shade from the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette, the same one that these two came from. This one I am going to keep. It is the Ulta Beauty Under the Sea single. I bought it thinking like this was the sage green eyeshadow of my dreams. Not quite the color I was looking for, but it also is really pretty. I think I'm going to keep it for now, but it's something that I would kind of be aware of on the chopping block for next year. I guess similarly so would be this one from the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. I had to repress it into a different pan. It is a very cool tone gray kind of green, and I don't think I'd use it so much on its own, but as something that would be blended into other shades or mixed with other shades to make them more muted. This is too gray. I would just never use a gray. This is from BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette. As you can see, I have all these square pans are from BH Cosmetics. Really wonderful formula, and that's why they've stayed in my collection for so long. They're just absolutely beautiful and stunning. Nothing wrong with this formula. It's a beautiful gray. For a gray shadow, it is beautiful, I'll give it that. But it's still a gray, and I never use gray. Another one that's an easy thing to let go. This is from the ColourPop in a trance palette. It's just way too white and light for a blue. It doesn't, like, I have no purpose for it. I like shiny things in the inner corner. I don't want it to be matte, and it's just so pale blue that it just looks odd on the eyes for the kind of looks that I do. It doesn't really have a place in my collection. So that one does not need to stay. It's really pretty, good matte formula. The color just doesn't make sense for me to keep, and I don't know why I've kept it for so long. I think I'm just keeping it paired with this other one from that same palette. Even though I don't wear blue a ton, I'll keep this because if I want a blue, this is more of a color. It's not quite as light. This Periwinkle I thought was like the shade I've always wanted, but it's just so light. It's so light that it's almost, I just don't even know how to use it, to be honest. This is a beautiful shade to use as an eyeliner, but if I do want this Periwinkle shade, I reach for this one from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette way more. I think I should go through a few more definite keeps. This is absolutely stunning from the Blueberry Muffin palette, probably my favorite shadow, and it wasn't one that really stuck out to me at first as something I would use. If you want that sultry, like purple, but it's like a warm purple, it's just amazing, and I love this, and I kind of rediscovered it within this past year. This is a great one to pair with it. Definitely keeping this kind of goldy pink shade. And then in that same vein of pale shades, I'm just keeping all of these. These three were Milani highlighters. I just pressed some of them in these pans because I only use them as eyeshadows. So obviously there's one I preferred, but these I'll use in the inner corner just for light looks. They're some of the most frequent types of colors that I do use. Speaking of my most used eyeshadows, definitely these neutrals right here. I mentioned them when I was talking about decluttering that palette because I use these more often than the other brown, and they're just beautiful neutrals to use as kind of eyeliners. They have very complementary undertones for my skin tone and my eye color. So these are definite keeps. This deep plummy purple I absolutely love. This one I don't use a ton, but it is a beautiful cool toned taupe, so I'd like to keep it. I'd like to use it more. Definitely up my alley. This bronzy shade, if I want to do something warm, this is the perfect bronze because it's not too orange. It just goes bronze enough, but it's a bit more neutral, so it's not intimidating to me. These two, beautiful formula. They're just so, so bright. And if I wear purples, they're gonna be this, you know? I don't like these undertones on my skin, on my eyes. They're just so much. And it makes me wonder if I should even keep that blue. A few more definite keeps. This beautiful tealy shade. I just love this color in shirts and in everything. A few blues that I actually will be keeping. These two right here. This one I don't use a ton, but it is pretty and I'd like to use it more. This one is a beautiful kind of minty silver. Definite keeps again. These from the ColourPop Lilac palette. These pinks, they look beautiful, but I never really wear pink eyeshadow. I always prefer the kind of warmer purples. I think I'll keep this as an alternative to those, but that's a little bit more muted and neutral. This one I'll keep. I think I'll probably have it in a Franken or pan it as a highlighter or something within the next year or two, because it's just okay. It's from a CoverGirl Shimmering Sands trio. Same with this one. I feel like I'll just keep these for now. I'm trying to remember what happened to the last shade. I either Frankened it and used it up or Frankened it and gave up on the Franken. I don't remember. But these are just nice neutrals. I think I'll use them and keep them for now. These two are from that e.l.f. Bite Size Quad, but it was in the shade Rosewater. Absolutely keeping this pale shade. It's just like the most subtle crease shade for me that's perfect for blending out shades that are like this. Or this is one I'll keep. I'm gonna keep this white, not because I use it, but because, as you can see, it's been scraped before. I think it's good to keep for frankening to make things lighter. This one from the Profusion Rubies palette. I think these two are the only from that palette that I have left, because this one I'm decluttering. This is the most stunning shade, and it actually doesn't look horrible on me despite it being warm. It is just absolutely beautiful, and so I don't have the heart to get rid of it. I really don't. I think I'm gonna keep silver just because I feel like I'll want to have a silver on hand. This could potentially serve the purpose of a silver, these kind of shades right here, but I will keep it for now. Around here is more of the things I'm less certain of. This is a really pretty muted kind of mauve matte. I will keep it. This is also a really beautiful kind of army green. This one right here is interesting because it really doesn't have any base pigment. It's just sparkles. And I don't know if I ever use that, but it could be a good just topper kind of, let me just add a bit of sparkles, you know? So I will keep it. Definitely keeping this. It's that deeper version of the teal that I love. And this is a really beautiful navy. I like those eyelinery shades. What makes me wonder, I'm keeping all of these like dark bluey, greeny, purpley kind of liner shades. It's so dark that I feel like when I would wear it, it would just look black. Like people wouldn't realize that it's like purpley blue. It just would look, especially if in a really thin line, you know? This one, when do I even wear this? I don't like blue eyeshadows on me. That's the thing. I like this navy because it's subtle. And these ones are more purple leaning, so I can get away with them. But just blue, I feel like I feel like a clown sometimes if I wear it. I have a lot of blue in my eyes, but this is way more vibrant and blue than my eyes are, so it just makes my eyes look more muted. It doesn't bring them out, it brings them in almost. I don't like that. This one right here, I don't use a ton, but it is really, really pretty for like an inner corner highlight, so I'm gonna keep it. This is a beautiful peachy neutral, absolutely beautiful. Definitely keeping this warm purple. It's really, really beautiful if I want something bright and fun, but it brings out my eyes in a beautiful way. This one I think I'm gonna keep. It is really bright. I know, I'm getting rid of all the bright shades, but it is a fun, bright color that I still like. So I like purples. I like them on my eyes. And this one I think is also a fun color that I'd like to experiment with more. I'm not sure about this green. This green doesn't really give me joy. This one though intrigues me, and I feel like I could have fun with it. Because I got rid of this super, super bright pinky peach, I'll keep this one because it's a little bit more subdued, and if I want a peach, I feel like I'll want a shade like this. I'll put any other keeps in this palette just because obviously I'm not going to keep my eyeshadows arranged like this. This is just chaos, but I ran out of room. I knew that I would keep much more than I'm getting rid of, but this is the part that gets me because look at these browns. I don't know. Let's start with the purples, I guess. I might keep all of them. I'm not gonna lie. I might, just because I really like purples. This is the color range that I find myself drawn toward a lot with eyeshadows. See, they're different. They are. This middle one is actually not as pigmented as the others. It doesn't show up as much. This mauve one I'll keep. It's very, very pretty. But I think if I were to go for a bright purple, I think if I were to do it, I would just do this because this is brighter. This one's just a little bit more subdued. Now for these neutrally warm brown shades. So there we have them. Clearly this one is way more pigmented than this one is. This one's a lot more neutral than the others, which I like, so I'm going to keep that for sure. This one is more peachy. It's unique to my collection because I don't have many warm things, so I might just keep all these. I don't know. Oh gosh, am I going to keep all these? They look so similar, and then I swatch them, and I can see all the subtle differences. I'm going to keep all of them. Oh my gosh. And I feel like I have to keep this because I've used it before, and I really enjoy it. It is more warm and rusty for me. This one I'm not sure. I feel like I never used, but I want to. So I'm going to keep these and see how I feel. This one, though, is very just kind of a blah color for me. I don't really wear browns like this a ton, so I'm going to let this go. And that means I have finally finished. So this is the final overview of what I have done today. On this side that I'm keeping, there are 73. Keep in mind, I have 75 in total. You'll see whenever I film my inventory video, there are 2 eyeshadows I have frankened into a blush. So that is why I have 75 I'm keeping. And then I have 27 that I'm decluttering. So obviously not a 50-50 thing, but I basically decluttered a fourth of my collection, which is a crazy cut compared to what I'm typically doing. Also, considering how small my collection is and how I'm definitely not getting rid of this giant thing, which takes up a really big portion of my collection, if you took that out, what's left is quite a significant cut, actually. And this one I'm planning on panning if I can make it work. And these 2, I don't know if they'll make it to the end of the year just because they're liquid and they'll probably dry out or expire or whatever. So I'm trying to whittle my collection down, but not in a way that's so drastic that I regret things. You know what I mean? A lot of these were kind of my fantasy self would wear this, but my actual self doesn't. Just wanted to add in here how I rearranged the shades so that whoever I give it to will at least be able to see a vision of what they could do with it instead of that horrible jumble of colors. And other things that I am decluttering that aren't eyeshadows, I just wanted to add in here because there's only 2. This brush, it's been shedding quite a bit and the glue is loose, and it's sad because I really liked it. It was from BH Cosmetics. It just fell apart, and so did the bigger version of this actually. So luckily I still have a brush that serves the same kind of purpose. I don't know why my Wet n Wild brush will just stay with me till I die, but unfortunately that one will not. And the other thing I'm decluttering, I made 2 Franken lip products out of this e.l.f. Hydrating Lip Shine in the shade Giddy. It was not a shade for me, I don't know. It looked different online, I guess. Just too orange for me. I made 1 Franken I used up. This one I did not. There's so much product in here. I can't do it. I don't like the color enough. Not as a cheek product, not as a lip product. I'm just gonna take the L. So that means in decluttering this Franken, I'm decluttering this lip product. And so I just wanted to add the lip product and the brush in here because I don't have any other things I'm decluttering from my collection other than eyeshadows. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.